Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in the world. It's Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. And we're here live from Lehi, Utah. It's terrible. Don't come here. Don't come ski here. Don't come vacation. Utah sucks. But that's where we're at. Landscape Lighting Secret Studios. I'm your host, Ryan Lee. Got an epic show for you today, guys. It's definitely the number one landscape lighting show in West Palm Beach, Florida, because we got the one and only Mr. Greg Matthews with Luxury Illumination, and it's going to be an epic show. So make sure you stick around. We're going to get into a lot of different topics. We're going to run out of time. We know that because if you've ever been around Greg or you've met him, you know he's very unique. In fact, I just remembered I forgot to put on my shirt. I have this shirt that I made, the Go Greg or Go Home shirt, and I was like, I forgot to put it on, you guys. Now I'm like, Lindsay. But he does things completely different, completely unique, and there's no coincidence that he's succeeding way more than most. So we're here to educate, motivate, to help you dominate. So make sure you stick around and be part of the conversation with Greg Matthews, Luxury Illumination, coming on in just a few minutes. If you're looking to start or grow your landscape lighting business, this is the place. Don't forget to give me a 5-star review and say some nice things. I mean, I'm assuming you've gotten value. Otherwise, you maybe it's your first time listening. I don't know. Got one of these mustache hairs needs to be trimmed. But yeah, give me a review, guys. I would really appreciate it. That's really all I care about in life is getting 5-star reviews for the podcast. So if you've gotten value out of it, you've gotten value from the guests, give them a shout out. Mention your favorite episode and give our guests a shout out in there as well. So whether it's Apple or Spotify, I would really, really appreciate it. By the way, guys, today I'm leaving to Tampa because we got Landscape Lighting Live coming up this week. It's Thursday and Friday. It's sold out. I'm sorry. Literally so many people have messaged me and said, can I get a ticket? Can I get in? I'm already going to come. I need one more ticket for my team member, my partner, whatever it is, right? And it's sold out. But good news, we just launched, I think today or yesterday or something like that, landscapelightinglive.com. We just announced and launched our next location. And we're going to the West Coast, baby, going to San Diego. So make sure you get your ticket. And this is not a marketing thing. It's going to sell out. I know you're supposed to create scarcity and stuff like this in marketing, but this is real scarcity. They always sell out. It's going to sell out. And don't be one of those people that's messaging me last minute or even a month from now when it's sold out saying, come on, man, get me in. It's in San Diego, whatever. So it's going to be an amazing event. Make sure to go to landscapelightingsecrets.com. All right, guys, you know this. Performance matters. This is a true statement for a lot of things. Am I right? Including the kind of lighting you use. So don't sell yourself short with your customer by using budget-level products. Emery Allen is at the top of their game when it comes to performance. Take their VA rating, for example, the lowest in the industry. What does that mean? Well, efficiency. So with a low volt ampere rating, you're able to drive more bulbs on a circuit with a given transformer rating. With lower quality bulbs and the same transformer, you won't be able to put as many lights on the same circuit. So make the switch today to Emery Allen. It's a great time to do it. All you got to do is email Tom Garber, his email right here, tomg@emeryallen.com, and he'll get your account set up. Mention you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits, and you'll get the discounted contractor pricing. Don't waste your time going to their website. Just email tomg@emeryallen.com, and he'll hook you up. So, guys, hey, as a reminder, Greg Matthews, just a couple minutes away. Not going to want to miss this episode. He's doing stuff it's going to blow your mind. The stuff that he's already done is next level. And then what he's going to do over the next few years is going to completely disrupt the industry and blow everyone's mind. And they're going to be like, wait, is he connected to the cartel? Like, what's going on? But good news for you, he's going to share some of his secrets with us today. He's just a great guy. So stick around a couple minutes. Before we have him on, what's up, Francisco? See you in just a couple days, man. Looking forward to it. He's going to be hanging out with us in Tampa. Before we have Greg on, we had Josh Latimer come inside my private coaching group, Landscape Lighting Secrets. And Josh Latimer, he's been on the show before. I mean, this guy's amazing. But I hired him last year. He's one of my coaches, right? And so I said, I begged him, like, come and teach my group. Like every time he talks, it's just awesome stuff. So he came and talked about marketing. But before we even gotten into marketing, we talked for like 45 minutes on mindset and some other things. And one of the things he said is professionals never don't do the fundamentals. So think about that for a minute. Professionals never don't do the fundamentals. And share a quick story with you. In July 1961, Vince Lombardi kicked off the first day of training camp for the 38 players on his Green Bay Packers football team. Now, we know the Green Bay Packers are not in the Super Bowl this year, but the prior season had ended in a heartbreaking loss to the Philadelphia Eagles after blowing a lead in the fourth quarter of the NFL championship game. When the players came in to start training camp, they expected to immediately begin where they left off and work on ways to advance their game and learn fancy new ways to win the championship in the new season. When they sat down and began, Vince Lombardi held up a football and said, "Gentlemen, this is a football." He then had everyone open up their playbooks and start on page 1, where they began to learn the fundamentals: blocking, tackling, throwing, catching. And that was clearly not what was expected as players who were at the top of their game, right? They took second place last year. They're pretty good at the fundamentals, right? But this hyper focus on fundamentals allowed them to win the NFL championship that season 37-0 against the New York Giants. Vince Lombardi went on to win 5 NFL championships in 7 years. He never coached a team with a losing season after that and never lost a playoff game again. Isn't that crazy, you guys? And so I want to share that with you because Josh talked about this. And so what are the fundamentals of building a landscape lighting business? Like, are you worried? Are you trying to find out what the next big secret is? Are you trying to find these magic tricks? Because most people are. I mean, people will ask all the time, like, what do I do for marketing? What do I do for this? And it's like, well, have you done the fundamentals? You know, the secret really is stick to the fundamentals. Sure, there's some trick plays here and there, and, you know, they're fun to do. But if you want to win, you need to strip all that stuff away, all the fancy stuff, and just do the fundamentals. And a lot of people are worried about how to install. Like, well, how do I install that light? Or what light did you use? Or what optics? Or what color temperature? Who did you buy from? They're worried about all these different things that, yeah, like they're important, but not as important as doing the fundamentals, right? So in reality, if you don't focus on revenue and profits, you aren't going to have to worry about all those other things. Okay. And this is why this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I realize it ruffles feathers and not everyone likes to talk about money, but honestly, like as a business owner, you have the responsibility to talk about money. You know, you need the ability to charge premium prices. You need the ability to close deals on the spot, and you need high quality leads. Okay. These are the fundamentals of landscape lighting. Until you have enough money to be a business, then basically these are the only things that you should be focusing on, right? This should be your filter for making decisions. You know, if it doesn't help you make money, then maybe you shouldn't be doing that activity. And now I know this is not a comfortable conversation. Like a lot of people don't want to hear this, right? And a lot of you may disagree, you know, but your number one job as a business owner is to not run out of money. And yes, there's a lot of other things that you need to do, including designing and installing and, you know, managing and building culture and all these other things. But too many people are focused on the wrong things. And that's really what it comes down to. So, and maybe you don't like talking money because of how you were raised. Maybe you associate the word money with greed, right? But if you want to just serve others, then make a bunch of money so that you can serve others, right? And go afford to do what you want to do. So you're really doing a disservice to your clients. You're doing a disservice to your team members, to yourself, to your family, if you're not focused on making money for your business, right? So what I want to do is just share with you in the next 60 seconds, how do you make 10K or more this week, right? And there's a lot of different ways to do it, but if you're skipping over the fundamentals, you're probably not going to make any money this week, right? So not just this week, but you can make 10K a week, every single week sticking to the fundamentals. So number one, start with the low hanging fruit. You know, when's the last time you offered your family and friends the opportunity to get their lights done at cost? Now, you're not going to have profit at this point, but it's going to give you an opportunity to work. So if you're brand new in the business, this is the best way to get started. Like, give someone an opportunity to say yes at cost. And too many people are worried about what should I do Google ads? Should I do direct mail? It's like, there's low hanging fruit right in front of you. Go do work for a builder at cost. And now you get in with him, and now you get in with his clients, right? You can post in neighborhood groups or the Facebook moms groups, right? You're just post that you're looking to set up a demo and take some pictures, right? And you'd be surprised how many different angles you can get with your photography, where one job could look like 4 or 5, right? And these are the basics. These are the fundamentals. Get before and after pics so people can see the drastic difference and the emotional connection that lighting creates, right? Reach out to existing clients, you know, especially if you're new to landscape lighting and you already have a Christmas light business, you already have another business. Those people already like you and trust you. And a lot of people are like, oh, I already reached out to my clients. Like, how many times? Because if you just emailed them once, that did nothing. You know, your open rate was probably 30%. Of that 30%, how many people actually read it and took action? Not 30%, right? So let your clients know, give them the ability to say yes. If you already have done landscape lighting for people, when's the last time you reached out to them? Are you offering maintenance plans? Are you offering service to them? Maybe they did their front yard. Are they ready for the backyard? Did they start with the backyard? Now they're ready for the front yard. Or did your client get richer and move? Okay. These people don't buy a house and sit there forever. Like, they get bored and they want to build another house every 3 to 4 years. So make sure you take a part of that recurring revenue opportunity. And if you have client base, talk to them. Okay. Who built their house? Who's their realtor? Who's their interior designer? Who's the AV company? Who's their pool builder? Who's the landscape architect? There's so many opportunities right in front of everybody, and everyone's stepping right over the fundamentals to go try to do the hard stuff. And they're leaving all this money on the table. Right. And again, these are easy ways to generate revenue quickly. It's an awkward conversation. Even for me, I used to not be able to talk about money because I was raised to think that money was greedy and all this other stuff. Right. And it was just the culture that I was brought up in. Right. But that's not the case, you guys. Finally, GMB. It's not called GMB anymore. I don't even know what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. Google Business Profile, whatever they call it. How often are you adding your photography, your pictures to that profile? How often are you posting to that profile? If you're not doing this every week, you've skipped the fundamentals. Automated voicemail bombs, weekly emails, stopping and talking to a pool builder. You're driving down the street and you see a crew working at a job site. Why not stop and talk to them, right? These are activities that I used to do every single week. And it was the reason why I was able to keep momentum going. Okay. If you're relying on traditional marketing to work for you all the time, there's too many ups and downs and you're going to go broke quick. So I hate to say it, but most people overcomplicate everything. And one of the reasons we're going to have Greg on is because he doesn't. He's kept things very simple and had major success. So keep it simple, get back to the basics, do the fundamentals, and keep moving forward. So that's all I got, guys. I love to do my intro because then I get I got all this stuff on my mind, like get it out of the system, and then we get to have our guest come on. So if you guys are ready, let me know in the comments. I know I am. Let's get him on. Let's get him coming on. Let's do this. What is up? What is up?
What's up, lighting people and Ryan?
Yes. Wait, I'm not a lighting people?
Yeah, you're one of the lighting peeps.
Oh, okay, cool. How's it going, man?
Crazy, good, crazy. You know, the usual.
Yeah, the usual.
We actually have beautiful weather down here. This is the reason this week why people buy second houses down here. It's about 70 degrees outside, sunny, warm weather, warm water in the ocean, as you know, from our sunrise dip a couple weeks ago. we're going to do a cold plunge supposedly at 6 a.m. We went in the water and it was about 80 degrees and beautiful, like a warm bathtub.
I know.
So not
That
very
was-
daring.
That was the warmest cold plunge I've ever done.
It was great.
I couldn't believe it. Like, how warm was it? I didn't check to see the water temp.
I don't know, but I was not cold at
70.
all even when we got outside. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
awesome. I was worried about the sharks a little bit, sunrise feeding, but other than that, I was good.
Yeah, luckily I'm too ignorant to even think about that stuff, but at least you were there to protect us. We had a local.
And we hadn't caught the shark until the next day, so we didn't know what was actually living in the waters.
So let's talk about that. So we were down, it was like just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, hanging out with the Legends group. And yeah, man, that was such an awesome week. So many big takeaways. I was looking forward to a cold plunge because I was trying to make everyone get uncomfortable. And then we jump in the ocean and it like feels amazing. And we're just like body surfing. And it was cool. But it wasn't that uncomfortable, right?
No.
But I think everyone was impressed. Like, holy cow! Like, what is Greg doing down here? You got you're in your showroom now. Why? I got to just ask you, why did you build your showroom? Because it's not like you've got clients, like 4 clients a day coming in and stuff like that, and people see it and they're like, wait, should I do a showroom? Like, what was driving that decision?
That's just the way I am. I mean, you've been to my house, and I don't like seeing walls. I like things on walls and being busy and having things that you've collected and interesting things to talk about. And, a lot of people are very left-brained or right-brained, but I like to be using both sides of my brain. So your right brain is your creativity, and your left brain is more of your analytics and your, writing down lists and doing them. So throughout every single day, I try to use both sides of the brain, because otherwise you're going to get pretty boring and pretty monotonous. And, I think that's what really separates people is how do you create things. And, I'll come up with a crazy idea, like a linear light wall I'm looking at right now around a TV. And I'm like, hey guys, we're going to build this tomorrow. Like, they're thinking what kind of drugs I'm on or what's going on. But at the end, they're all like, oh, this is awesome. And we kind of talked about my wife, Erica, I love her. But we're going through this whole process, building the showroom, just all these random dead stumps coming in here, lights, things being built. It stresses a lot of people out. She's like, what in the world is going on? And this is our workspace, but it's also where we're here, multiple hours a day. So I want us to be able to design, create, even if nobody else comes in here, be comfortable, enjoy coming to work. We put a new saltwater aquarium up in the front office, which costs, a lot of money, but it's something fun to walk into. We have something to care for here. It adds to like, a homey feeling. And we do meetings here. We've had some celebrities in here, a lot of referral partners, especially. So we built it for doing events, for bringing people in to show them designs, to show them the products, and to show them that we're really serious about what we do. So we bought the units, we built them out, so they know we're not going to be out of business in 2 years, or if we are, we really screwed up. But we're planning on staying here, kind of thing. So it adds a lot of confidence when you tell somebody that you're going to work in their property and you're going to be around to actually fix things in the future. Because a lot of people can offer lifetime warranties, but if the company's out of business, then what's the value of that?
It's the lifetime of that company that went out of business 2 years ago.
Yeah, lifetime is a very interesting word.
Well, it's so cool though. Like, I mean, I was down there 2 years ago for your grand opening, and I remember being blown away then, like I was, last week or whatever. But because I used to come from the mindset of like, well, I had a warehouse and an office, but it was nothing like that. And it's just like, man, what was I thinking? Because once you experience your culture and what you're doing there, even if no clients came, it would be worth it, right? Because of like you said, it puts your team in a different state. To think bigger and to realize that, like, well, you guys aren't just a regular lighting company that might be out of business in 2 years. You're investing in them and their future. And then on top of that, you do have referral partners coming in. You do have these people that you work with, and there is no way in hell they're going to work with anybody else after seeing that place.
Yeah, I think we paid off the place after the first 3 referral partners were brought in here from the projects we've gotten. And now we're making money. I mean, I'm talking about the entire office and the remodel, just off of closing those referral partners by bringing them in here.
That's so cool. And it's just a good start to kind of what we're going to talk about today is just like, you just do everything different, like everyone's kind of sticking to the regular path. And one thing, because you've simplified everything, and we were talking about this when we were talking about 10X and stuff, like you've been able to, you have time to think. You have time to create. Everyone else is doing so many $5,000 jobs just to pay the mortgage that like they don't have time to use that side of their brain. They literally don't. They're just so busy. You've allowed yourself to have this creative time to come up with ideas and execute on them, which I think is a huge reason for your wins, you know?
Yeah, and when you're doing a lot of those smaller jobs with the really tight budgets, and people aren't always as tight as people think either. You have to get better at closing those smaller jobs at bigger numbers. People will spend more money if they see the value. And just like Ryan said, it's not about being money hungry or grabby or whatever. But if you can get a bigger budget from a client, they're going to have a better experience. So you can do more lighting. You can do your creative aspect of it. You can put those extra downlights in you wanted to. You can put a custom pendant light in that's going to last that client a decade. And they don't think about that. But like, you know, when you went into my backyard and we had the party, it's like, that's what it's all about. You know, you have a party, you have people over for a glass of wine, whatever you're doing, the kids are playing soccer at night. That's all adding life value just by lighting a yard. We actually redid. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like most people will be like, well, what's your budget? You know, and they'll say, oh, 10,000 or whatever. And like that number is not real. Like that number is based on zero education. They have no idea what they're looking for. Right. So how do you get them to that point where maybe they share with you a budget, or they're like, oh, we want something like that. And they're showing you their neighbors who's got crappy lighting, or, you know, something in a magazine that doesn't look good or whatever. How do you build that experience?
So I've never asked a client what their budget is, because like you said, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
And we don't design based on getting a ticket number up or anything like that. As you know, I'm as little corporate as possible. Unfortunately, we need to go a little more corporate. But we design off passion and experience. So when we walk a yard, we're asking a client how they use a yard. We're not asking them how many lights do you want over here, or what do you want over here. You know, when I usually see a neighbor's yard that sucks, I'll say, wow, we're not going to do that. And I'll show them a picture of one of our projects, and we'll say it's going to look more like this, and to get them excited. And then every single yard is going to be customized based on how they use that yard, what they want the most impact on, what we think they want the most impact on, and then kind of go for there. Now, if we do have to reduce, I actually make the clients pick a lot of the time. Like, what do you want to lose? You know, I've done the perfect design. What are you going to take out of your own life? And that helps them keep a little bit tighter on what they're going to take away from themselves. You know, maybe we had audio, so we'll wait to do audio, you know, a few months down the road or something. Maybe we'll take a section of the yard out, but I'm not going to butcher the design just to appease a number. But a lot of it comes down to your portfolio. How you can explain what your design is, how much you believe in your actual design. You know, you go to design, you're kind of reading it with them and not really understanding what's going on or why the dots were placed there. You're not going to close that project very well. But if you can explain, you know, what the impact of these lights will be, what this will do for them, how they can, you know, play in this area longer with their toddler, how they can go over here and not be scary at night if they hear noises on the side yard. So we're putting lights on the side yard. Why are you doing that? Because you're never going to be over there. What if the dog is over there at night and you hear a noise? You want to be able to see if there's a raccoon or something. So you have to explain real world scenarios to clients, and then they get it. You know, I'm a consumer for a lot of things, and that's how I like to be presented things. I don't want to just be given something and not told, like, why do I need this? So you just explain it in a realistic way.
That's awesome. Yeah. You mentioned the word belief. Like that's huge. I think that's like so underrated when you're doing any type of presentation with a client. If you really believe that they need 1,000 lights and each one has its reason, then there's no reason they shouldn't write the check for that. I mean, if they live in a property that can actually fit that many lights, it's usually like ratio wise, like they can afford it. Like you're not going to be able to present 1,000 light bid on something that doesn't require that, right? So if you believe in yourself, that passion comes through and that belief, and then that budget, whatever they had in their head, even if, you know, like you said, asking them is pointless, but they all have this number associated with lighting. They all, you know, it's like saying, well, you could buy a $20,000 car or $1 million car. Like, why would they have $1 million car? That doesn't make any sense. Well, because they value that at $1 million. That's why.
And there's also a $30 million car. So the $1 million car is actually cheap.
Yeah.
But
entry level. So you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And even Charles has actually been doing the last week and a half doing I call them smaller deals, which we're actually focusing on a little bit in different neighborhoods. And he's closed, I think, 3 or 4 $15,000 to $20,000 deals. And I bet you the rest of that neighborhood has $3,000 to $5,000 in lighting in the rest of the yards. So if you look at that exponential, it's 3 to 4 times more of a ticket, but it's probably 6 times the experience. Like they can actually use their yards and they're going to stand out in the neighborhood and be beautiful. So it's not just the big ones, but it's also making those little ones count for the client.
Well, a couple of things there. Like you really are like too many people are doing those small jobs just because they think someone won't spend the money because everyone else in the neighborhood only spent $5,000 or $2,000 or whatever. But like you said, like you're doing a disservice to people if you're not showing them what's possible and letting them experience your full potential. Like you're not being fair to them. Like you're doing them a disservice. To me, that's almost unethical. Like if you want to think money talk is unethical, like you to do it right, like you said, show them your full design, the full potential, and then it's like, what do you want to lose? What do you want to take away?
Absolutely. And one of the other confidence builders is, I'm not saying I know everything, but I know as much as I possibly can. And I'm not saying I'm the best lighting designer out there because I don't think there's any way to gauge that, but I'm the best lighting designer for that person that's in front of me at that moment.
Nice.
And there is no doubt in my mind about that. We can do whatever we need to for that client to solve whatever problem. We've researched all the brands, all the products. We know what works for that client. We know how to mix and match. So all this takes time to do. And the only way to do it is to do it. It's just like, we'll get into photography, I'm sure later, but it's like the same thing. You have to practice everything, make mistakes, learn from the mistakes. And then the confidence is there. I like to be just on the cusp of arrogance, but not there. But you have to be confident in what you do.
I mean, I think I've gotten to know you pretty well over the couple of years. So I don't ever, I was trying to think the other day, like when I first met Greg, did I think of arrogance? Like I've never thought of you like that, but I think it's because like I put ABL down, there's ABC, always be closing, but ABL is always be learning. And I don't know if that's a real thing, but like you came to Landscape Lighting Live last year, which is like, I designed that for like entry level, like, hey, if you're new in the industry, come learn about landscape lighting. You saw it was basic fundamentals of install, design, pricing, sales, marketing. And people are like, what? What's Greg Matthews doing there? Wait, why is Greg Matthews in Landscape Lighting Secrets? Like, does he really need help? And like, you're at AOLP, you're at illi, you're at all these different things. Why is that so important to you?
Because you can always learn something new. And if you don't think you can learn something new, then you're losing out on something. And I did learn something new, and I got around new people and the discussions that we have. Erica learned how to break her ankle on top of a mountain during that. But other than that, it was a good experience. But no, we also got to see Keith's shop in Utah. Keith Rosser is a great guy. Got to meet him. That was awesome. Got to see his take on things there. We got to meet other people in the class, hang out with the other mentors there. So it's always beneficial, and you can always keep expanding. But yeah, and we have Stephanie here, my office manager, will actually be at Landscape Lighting Live this week in Tampa.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so that'd be really cool. So I'm sending her there. And then, I'll be actually one of your mentors at the next Landscape Lighting Live in San Diego. So that'll be fun as well.
Wait, I forgot to have the button. Say that again.
So I'm going to be one of your mentors at the next Landscape Lighting Live in San Diego.
Heck yeah, man. So guys, go get your ticket now. Now it's really going to sell out fast. Greg's going to be one of the mentors in San Diego. So that's going to be epic for sure. But again, like, I don't want to like dismiss the fact that you go to everything, and like, that's why you're so successful. A lot of people think that they've made it, like they've figured it all out. And here you are going back to like what I would consider one of the more basic landscape lighting trainings out there, So, and you found the 2 or 3 things that you're like, hey, I'm going to take this and run with it, that's very admirable. So when you're saying like, being on the cusp of arrogance, to me, like, I'm not sure that's totally true either. It's like you're also on the back end, like really working and building and learning and doing all these things that you need to be able to be on the cusp of arrogance, right?
Yeah, I try to be perfect, but I try to be humble at the same time, if that makes sense.
Nels has a small shrine built in his house to worship.
We both have shrines to each other.
Yeah, we're gonna start mass producing those soon, I think. All right, so let's talk about events for a minute. I know you got like are you gonna retire because you're I think you're starting to travel and speak more than me now. You've got like your world tour this year.
Well, and this is not like, it's funny because when I go to these things, I actually lose money most of the time, or I'm doing them for free or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is not like advertising, but it's because I feel strong about the industry, and teaching is one of the best ways to learn. And that's one of the reasons I return back to illi all the time, because you learn something new. There's so much to learn at illi. You know, you listen to the same lecture taught 3 times and you're going to hear 4 different things, especially when 2 different people do the same lecture. So yeah, we got write all this stuff down, everyone, for next year, because a lot of the events are closed this year, but AOLP conference is coming up. So that's February 21st to 25th. So even if you're not getting certified, the conference is awesome. You can see all the manufacturers, you get to see everybody. We're having a closing bash at the Alamo. So how cool is that?
Nice.
Freaking Alamo. We got a Coastal Source product launch, and that's going to be held underneath the Atlas V rockets at the Kennedy Space Center. So we're actually having dinner there right below the Atlas V rockets. That's going to be pretty cool. That's February 26th, but that's like VIP. But they're still going to have new products coming out.
That's why. Thanks, Brian. That's why I didn't get the invite. That makes sense.
Yeah, my bad. And then I'm actually going to go international. I'm going to Landscape Ontario Lighting Conference. I'm going to be doing 2 talks there on the 28th. So a photography talk, and then we're also going to talk about design and presenting our design to clients. So nice. That'll be my first thing out of the country, which is pretty cool. And then I'm not. What's that?
International.
Then we got illi Spring coming up. That's in Oklahoma. I won't be at the spring one, but still sign up and go. It's going to be awesome. They have a spring and a fall. So if you do Christmas lights, most Christmas light guys don't want to go in the fall because it's in season. So I'll actually be going to the fall course and being a mentor there, but they still have a few openings for the spring and spring.
I thought it sold out, but yeah,
it's been close. So you'd have to check it out. And then we got Lumion Summit. So that's March 12th through the 15th. I'm going to be the keynote speaker there. We're doing a photography talk. We're talking about core drilling and tree lights. We got people coming from my company there to actually attend it as well for more learning. And that one's going to be pretty crazy, doing full mock-ups. It's at Callaway Gardens in Atlanta, which is gorgeous. But that actually sold out like faster than a Taylor Swift concert. So I would still email them and register for next year and get on a wait list. Like that's how fast that event's been selling out. Then we got Landscape Lighting Live. That's going to be April 30th to May 1st. That's in San Diego. And then the last thing I got coming up this year that I know about is Claralux is having a grand opening of their new building in the fall. They don't have a date yet.
Oh, nice.
But they moved into a giant new building, have been moving over there the last months, setting it all up, and it's going to be pretty crazy. You can see all the machining and how they build stuff there. And all the new products are coming out with as well.
That's awesome, man. The Greg Matthews World Tour. Get your tickets. People are going to get t-shirts where they got the dates listed and check off the ones that they went to and saw Greg speak.
Well, what's freaky is that's only like a month and a half, so I'm going to be gone for a while.
Well,
dates.
Yeah, we haven't planned the last half of your year. We still have more. We just haven't told you yet.
Yes.
I'm your booking agent, and I carry your robe around and stuff like that. All right, let's talk about, it's mind-boggling. I posted in our the private landscape lighting secrets group, and I was like, what's everyone's average job? And everyone was putting down their averages, and then you post yours, and I'm like, what in the hell? Like, how does he do this? How are you able to land these monster jobs?
It goes back to the stuff we were talking about. And then it goes into work and time and the creativity and building the portfolio and the reputation to do it. So I was talking to you before we started the show, but I'm watching the new NASCAR Full Speed. Just came out on Netflix today. So I watched most of the series today, which is actually working while I was designing. But I'm waiting to see if our lights come on because we lit Denny Hamlin's house this year, who was a great client, through a great referral source. And we worked with actually Glenn Wheeler out there who does his Christmas lighting. So Glenn had the reputation, or I guess the relationship with him, and he wanted to redo the lighting, but he knew he wasn't up to that par yet. You know, he does Christmas lighting, doesn't do landscape lighting, and that's not the first job you want to take on. Or if you know, it's pretty daring. You would not want to do that one and screw it up, is my point. So I got a referral, and we went in and we did the whole project, and he was ecstatic with it. So I was watching the Netflix to see if our lighting came on it, but I don't think it's funny because on the second episode, you can see my design laying on the lights in the garage being installed. But I don't know if they're going to actually make it to the finished product because they switched drivers towards the end of the season. So I'll have to wait till next season to see the lighting again.
Oh, man. Well, that's pretty awesome. I think Glenn gets to advertise. I think he might hold the record for the largest first job ever in landscape, right?
And I think we broke a record. So we did about 450 fixtures in 6 work days. And that was with a lot of retrofitting a 3-story hardscaping pool deck. Like I had Edgar just grinding and putting wire in for the whole week. So that was a pretty insane one that the guys accomplished, did an awesome job with. Denny actually won a race 2 days before I went and walked the yard with him. So I have the gloves he wore in that race at the office. So some fun stories about that is one of the things. But we're able to get that because I was able to go there, show him our work, build the confidence in him, you know, where he thought maybe it's going to cost 50 grand, 60 grand. Even wealthy people have no idea what their budget is for installing lighting. And then you say, hey, you're going to need this many lights and this many lights, and it's going to be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you have to build them up to where it makes sense for them. And no matter who you are, your money is still valuable. So nobody wants to be ripped off. So we were able to show through portfolio what this many lights would do to this area, why we're going to do this area, why you need this for safety. We lit a back deck that had been built by the contractor, literally had stairs all the way down that never had lighting on it. And he has daughters. So we're talking about safety concerns at nighttime. And then they also throw big parties. So now you can actually party at that house and walk around the entire property, and it's beautiful. And the thing that actually initiated that whole project is he has a helicopter pad on his back dock, you know, just like everybody does.
Normal stuff.
But he was flying back from a race or being flown back, and he was flying down and his house looked lame at night. So he had landscape lighting, but it just sucked, as 99.5% of the homes in America do. And he said, I got to do something about this. So that's what initiated that. And then we just took it to the right degree. And again, we had the resume, the portfolio, the pictures, everything to fully confidently design that. My, education I've been working on through AOLP, through illi, through my own stuff, through trial and error, through setting up lights, through mocking up lights. All of that just led to doing it the way that he wanted. And that was just one of the clients that we did last year, just another one. And he was just above our average. So our average is close to 300 grand right now per project. Because we actually had some that were over double that last year, which are pretty amazing. We actually did 3 homes for one client last year. So we finished one of her projects down here in Florida, and then she enjoyed it so much that she made me go redo her lighting in Wisconsin and in Illinois afterwards. And they had existing lighting, but it wasn't up to par. And now they're ecstatic about the whole thing.
I love it, man. I mean, there's so many big takeaways there, because I think most people would go into that project in North Carolina, the Denny Hamlin one. And one, he already had lighting. So, a lot of people are like, oh, we'll just add some lights over here, maybe replace some, whatever. And they try to do this Band-Aid solution. And I can't remember what it was. I remember talking to you and Glenn when you had like right after you guys had the meeting. But I thought there was something where maybe he said something like they weren't expecting it to be not anywhere near what you came in at, but it was your belief, your confidence, your portfolio, the pictures. And then it's like you turned it from like someone who would probably struggle to spend 50 grand on lighting to someone who's ecstatic and can't wait to get all this stuff installed, Well,
and the other part of that whole equation is having the team to accomplish it. So you can sell somebody a dream, but if you can't actually follow through with it, then you got a major problem. And we don't always have to get that done in a week, but they were actually shooting the Netflix special during that time. And he didn't give me a certain deadline, but he wanted it done quickly. So we went over and above to make it happen. Glenn worked with us. We all worked together and just heads down, got it done. And seeing him and the family walk through, the kids running around the yard that night, I was almost rushing them because they were taking too long looking at all the lighting. So I'm like, we got to go take a picture next to your Daytona 500 trophies real quick. Come on.
That's good.
But that's just one of the stories, and there's just so many. But even no-name people that we deal with that are either wealthy or just normal people. But the emotions that come with a good lighting project when it's finished. So just think about that when you're trying to close a deal. What is that client going to react, or how are they going to react when you're done? Is it that good of a design, or is it going to be some lights on trees? Do you have enough down lighting? Do you have enough up lighting? Do you have like a focal point? All these basic things that we all talk about, do you actually follow through and do them in real life?
Nice. That's way cool. Yeah. And I think, cheers to Glenn for, having the record for the largest first landscape lighting job ever.
Impressive.
Now we're going to see if we can break it. Records are created to be broken, but for now it's his. And if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I want to get started, whatever, like, it's just a great way to partner up with someone. Reach out to me. I know people all across the country, across the world, really. Greg will go to Nepal, wherever he needs to go. But I know people that are connected, and why not partner up with someone? Because Glenn got an awesome experience. He was able to provide excellent value to his client. He learned a lot about the process. He saw how to install 450 lights in 6 days. There's a lot of stuff that can come out of partnering up with someone on your first few jobs. Way cool.
Yeah, and even forever for some people. I mean, if you are doing good at your business, find a good referral partner and work with them, and maybe help figure out that nice symbiotic relationship where they could refer stuff back to you. Referrals are great. I mean, it's like free money. So we've worked in 16 states so far, and I love working in all the different environments, different people. You have to adapt to the different projects, different kinds of trees. And that's another secret too. Learn your trees. It's amazing how many people light up trees and have no idea what it's called, or how it grows, or how far you should put a bolt into a tree or anything like that. So a lot of those installation techniques are great to master. And again, education, trial and error. Everybody hopefully has a yard or a park near them, so there's no excuse to try stuff. Plug in lights, do stuff, zip tie trees, lights to trees. Just see what different looks are if you can't go to a place.
Nice. Well, and you do, the Latin names of all the trees, which, if me and you go up to a project and I'm like, all right, so we're going to light that green tree and then that tall one. And then you come in and you're like the Triosaurus, Recomosaurus, Sycamorosaurus. Then I'm going to be like, crap, he just beat me.
Exactly. And I've actually done that to landscape architects. We did a job in Texas. That was another referral. We did 1,200 fixtures on that project. But the client, basically said I could fly in on my own dime and have it out with the landscape architect, and whoever won would get the project. And the landscape architect was doing, the rest of the property, all the landscape design, the installation, the supply, and all that. So I was already down. He'd done a famous quarterback's house, yada, yada, yada. So I showed up, and landscape architect does his spiel to the client, and I listened to it all, and then I start picking it apart, which was justification to the client because it was all the wrong product. It was all the wrong location. And we ended up getting the project, which was insane, of me just flying in there and, taking the chance to do it and actually following through and doing it, have the education. And, this is a few years back, so we didn't have as many portfolio picks. So I was able to walk my way through it.
Yeah. One of the things that I've learned from you is, there's the psychology principle that we studied when I was down there. And it was like commit, confidence, capable, and courage. But the first thing you need to do is commit. And whether it's your showroom, whether it's you learning, whether it's you joining the coaching program, whatever it is, you're always like, you commit before you actually think through the potential consequences, which is like the definition of risk. But like that's what's successful on, like, you look at all the amazing entrepreneurs that have billions of dollars, they all commit and then they figure out the way to make it happen. Most people, the 99%, are trying to figure out a way to make it happen. And then once they figure it out, they'll commit. And they're never going to figure it out. So you have to figure it out. When you bought that flight and you paid to go out to that project, you've already committed. Like, there's no choice but to win that project, and you're going to reverse engineer it and figure it out, which is just, it's awesome. I mean, it's so cool to see.
Yeah, it would have been days of work and flights and sunken head, but that didn't even come into my head. I was going to get that project, and
Nice.
We got the project. So you can have that confidence unless you're coming up against me. So,
all right. Hey, I want to do a gift card giveaway. It's been a while since I've done one, so we're going to pause for a minute. Are you good?
Good.
All right, here we go. Gift card giveaway. All right, I don't know if it's everyone's favorite time, but it's Brian Dank's favorite time to play gift card giveaway. So this is your chance to win free money. All you have to do is be the first person to answer correctly. And I'm not gonna lie, like I don't even know all the answers all the times. I like have to look them up and stuff. So it's whatever I think is the right answer is the right answer. Here's the question, and then you get to win a $50 gift card just for hanging out and with Greg and I for a little bit and getting this answer right. So let's go. Here it is. How many amps will a low voltage system, excuse me, how many amps will a low voltage system draw on a 15 volt tap that is using 240 watts? So, yeah, I had to do the math. I had to look up the answer. We asked one similar to this maybe a year ago, but the key was we're changing the voltage. So how many amps will a low voltage system draw on a 15 volt tap that is using 240 watts?
I love how your questions are all technical and most of your program has nothing to do with the technical stuff about lighting.
That's why, because we're talking about business and profits, but then I'm like, we got to like attract like the tech nerds, right? So who did this? If this is Brian Dank,
It is because you got the lizards up above.
it is. Well, there's like 2 Facebook users.
Uh,
This one, which is not correct, and then there's this one, which is correct. 16 amps. So it's actually pretty simple math. You go 240 watts divided by 15 volts. Watts over volts equals amps. So it was supposed to be tricky because a lot of people will be like, oh, it's 12 volts. They'll just divide 240 divided by 12. That's 20 watts. In this case, the higher the voltage, the lower the amps. So it's kind of an interesting conversation. I don't know if that's Brian Dank. We'll figure out after, or he'll let me know. If so, congratulations, whoever the Facebook user is. But the thing is, a lot of people do kind of not think about it because they were taught that, oh, LED doesn't matter. But especially when you're getting into these big projects and doing longer runs, like amps becomes an issue, load and all this different stuff. So you've got to be able to make sure you understand the difference of going to a 15 volt tap and a 12 and things like that, because one of the downsides of low voltage is it's higher amps than you're used to working with. So
yeah, I think part of Brian's business plan this year is to win all the gift cards because I think that's him again. So I think it's part of his yearly budget.
yeah, he's like, okay, if I can win 99% of those times 50, okay, that's $2,500 a year. I'll put that into advertising, which will yield me $25,000. So if he invests this right, he could leverage his money. This might be gift card giveaway might be worth like 200 grand if he does
Retirement plan right here. Yeah.
Pretty smart.
And I would say one thing about this too is your voltage drop is super important nowadays, especially with smart fixtures. So like for instance, a Lumion Pro Series, if your voltage is too low, the controller will not work on it. So you'll think your fixture isn't working, but it's because the actual fixture is not receiving enough current to initiate the actual controller to use a remote control on it. And like, a lot of other smart fixtures like Haven, WAC has a new one, but you got to watch your voltage drop on those so that the communication is working properly, or you could actually damage them.
Do you happen to know what the minimal voltage is on it?
I think it's 8. It's either 8 or 10.
Oh, it's still, yeah. Normally I just tell people like blanket statement 9 to 15. Most manufacturers will work, but check with your manufacturer because everyone is different and what their standards are and stuff like that. Some of them want their stuff actually running at higher voltage because like this higher voltage is going to be lower amps, which can be cooler. Some people want it, right around that 12, but just check with your manufacturer on your product and make sure you're taking these things into consideration.
Yeah, one thing we do is we check, the lines, as most people should be doing at this stage, and seeing what your voltage is at the last light on every run. And yeah, if you do have different voltage, your light could be brighter or less bright than it should be, and you may not notice, or you will notice, right? Even if it's firing on.
No, we're definitely not getting into effective wattage. I mean, I think I guessed on that on the CLVLT. Don't tell them.
Yeah, I'll take a nap if we do that.
Let's get back to the fun stuff. All right. So it's interesting. You mentioned now you've got, you've got this process and you've got this this referral system for these really cool jobs and stuff like that. But now you're going for like smaller regular jobs. What's the intent behind? And when I say smaller jobs, like you're saying, like 20 to 50,000. You know, they're still big jobs, but what's the intention there?
Why not? So I guess another big announcement is we are looking for a special person to come to West Palm Beach area and actually work with us. And I hate to say the word a salesperson, but as a designer slash person to go and get new business. All the people that work for me, we're perfectly structured to grow now. And there's so much potential everywhere that I'd love to bring in the right person. It may be a week from now, and it may be a year from now to find that person. But if anybody's interested in working down in South Florida and you have amazing skills, send us a resume. And it may be somebody from the lighting industry, or it may be somebody that has nothing to do with lighting, but just has the right personality. So we'll see who ends up being, but we're going to structure ourselves to, have proper roles and be different areas, but I would help them get referral sources and do all that. It's a lot for everybody to do. And then different people here will be working with different referral partners, and we're going to break it a different way than other companies do. But a lot of the smaller jobs, like all those $15,000 to $20,000 jobs, are done in a day, which is great. Money in, money out, happy client, done. Some of our bigger projects can take 6 days magically.
Up to 6 days. Wow. That's
or they could take 2 years. If they're building houses, I have projects we're going to be finishing next month that I knew about 2 years ago, literally. And the house is being finished now, but you're involved at different parts of that process, pre-wire, design, hardscape design, all that kind of stuff. So it's good to have both, but you also have to be, like you said, as an owner, have money in the bank or have a good cash flow to be healthy. So I think having smaller, medium jobs is great for those interims. It also allows me to give more people opportunities. Honestly, it's how I think about it. Let's hire some more crews. Let's, as you know, I think everybody loves working here, and I want it to stay that way. I want to enjoy coming to work, but why not hire some more people here and improve some other people's lives?
This is like a huge opportunity. When you told me about this, I'm like, dude, there's a lot of people out there that own their own lighting business that are struggling. And to be honest, like you talk to them and I'm like, dude, I can tell within 5 minutes, like you should not be running your own business. Doesn't mean you're not passionate about lighting. Doesn't mean you're not good at sales. Doesn't mean you're not a good person. It's just, you're not an entrepreneur, and that's okay. Like for whatever reason, you decided to go that path. You didn't want to work for someone else. But if you're listening to this and that's you, and you're like, dude, I need a new start, this is a huge opportunity. And I know you don't really like the sales word, but like, it's still it's a certain personality. It's hard to find someone who's really good at design and sales. They're out there, but it's just, it's harder to find someone that has that belief that we talked about, that's convincing and doesn't feel awkward about it. A lot of times you find a really like humble, good person that's good at design, and they're afraid to be convincing. They're afraid to have belief. And if you can find that person that has that belief and the ability, like I said, it's almost like an entrepreneur. It's someone who wants to run their own business, but doesn't want the full risk and all these, downsides of trying to figure out how to build the business and manage team members and build culture. Like, just come work for you, dude. I mean, it's a dream job. I think you're going to get people applying that you're going to be surprised. Like, what? I thought you were running your own business over here. And it's a sweet opportunity.
No, I didn't. Like I said, there's nothing like, if you love lighting, like this is something I would look at in a different situation. Like, it'd be great. We have awesome other team members to work with. And I'm kind of working on a hybrid system like you're talking about, where this person would go out, be relationships, seek new people, and do all that. And then we could help with design in the office, where they're not having to focus too much on both, but are focusing on both so that they can learn it all. So it's going to be an interesting, whoever it is, it's going to be an interesting role, but tons of potential. And potential is kind of endless there.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity. So if that's you, if you're listening to this, you're like, dude, that might be me. Just hit up Greg. What's your email? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
You could do it to getlit@luxuryillumination.net, or Facebook me or whatever.
Yeah, just send him a message. Or if you're like, that's not me, but I know who that is, hit him up, because this is a huge opportunity. And I got to spend some time with Greg. and again, I have people saying like, does Greg even need help? But Greg is doing stuff behind the scenes that no one even knows about, where he's investing in his company, the structure, building that foundation to just go like light speed. Hey, I didn't even mean to say that. It's pretty impressive what you're building over there.
No, and again, it's to become work better, be more effective, and provide, more lighting for more people. That's the whole goal.
It's cool. Let's talk about photography for a minute. I know we're getting close to the end, but everyone sees your pictures. Everyone sees, you mentioned like your portfolio when you're presenting. What do you recommend? Your stuff, even in your office, you've got all the stuff really high quality, large format displayed, not just for your customers, but for your team to see, which is important. I think a lot of installers have never even seen their own work. They don't know the magic that they're even part of, But yeah, what's your secret there?
So number one in photography is learn how to light better. So better lighting projects are easier to take pictures of. If you have hot spots everywhere and you have glare bombs. No, but it's amazing what I'll see people try to take a picture of, and you're going to spend 27 hours in Photoshop instead of like 5 minutes in the yard trimming around, making sure you don't have hot spots, the basic stuff. And also photographing, oh my gosh, and make your lighting so much better, because everybody should be taking a simple picture with your cell phone just to look at lighting before you adjust things at night, because you'll see in a camera more dramatic things than you would see with your eyes. So you can see those hot spots easier. You can see where brightness is, where darkness is. But it helps you kind of cheat when you're aiming things, or if you need another light here, or changing beam angles and all that. So use your cell phone cameras just for your own education while you're actually aiming light fixtures. As far as actual photography goes, I mean, buy the best camera you can get. Mirrorless is the best. Full frame camera is second best, which you can get full frame cameras pretty damn cheap, especially nowadays because everybody's going mirrorless. I use Canon, but Nikon, Sony, there's many brands that are amazing. But I also suggest, a lot of people complain like, oh, I didn't enter the photo contest this year for AOLP because I'm not good at taking pictures. And then I'll say, well, have you tried taking pictures? And like, no. Have you bought a camera? No. So go buy a camera, start using it during the day, even work on your compositions, maybe take a photography class that has nothing to do with lighting, start using the functionality of the camera so that you're better and more comfortable with it. And then you can start working on the night stuff. Everybody thinks landscape lighting is hard to take a picture of, but honestly, it's super easy. So you have a tripod and you have a static subject to take a picture of, and you have a digital camera, which gives you instant feedback. So if you learn 5 basic functions and you take a picture and it's too bright, you adjust one thing. It's not like you're trying to take a picture of an alligator eating a snake, where you have like 1/1000th of a second with a long lens. Those are a lot harder to get than a simple composition. And then you can also start in your own backyard, just like learning how to learn how to take pictures. So put lights up on trees, take pictures of it. I usually am doing talks at these different things. So we're having the photography talk at Lumion. We're having a photography talk in Ontario. And I don't know where else. At illi, I know there's always photography, even if I'm not doing it. And they actually have a photography course there as well that Tim teaches. But get to a point where you're taking good pictures and not having to edit them a lot. A lot of our pictures that you see, if I'm in Photoshop more than 45 seconds, then it's not a good picture. And I either screwed up on my lighting or I screwed up on my exposure. So you also don't want to be the person that's in there Photoshopping for 3 hours on each picture, because that's not a real picture. And it doesn't look like a real picture either. It looks like a Photoshop painting. So
so when someone's like, oh, it looks better in person, like then don't make it look better in person. Like do something about it. Because I know what you're talking about. I used to do the phone shots, and it was, I didn't know this. This was like the discovery. And I take the phone and I'm like, damn, it's so bright, like that hot spot, and that would have been me posting, oh, it looks better in person, but I didn't even post it. And then what I did was I learned to adjust it. I was like, that's weird. Like this really shows it's a lot harder. And then you go move the light, adjust it, put a different optic on it, whatever it is. And now you retake the photo and it's like, oh, there's no hot spot. So I think that's a huge tip that you said really quickly, but like people overestimate that and they just go, oh, well, it's just the phone. It looks better in person, but it's like, no, even like an iPhone can help you dial in your designs. And if you have all this dark space, well, why is all the dark space, or if it's all blown out, it's too bright. Why is it too bright? So I think that's a great tool to use your phone pics to help you dial in your designs. That's a great tip.
Yeah, even if you never are going to use those pictures, you're using it to dial in your design for real life. And then, yeah, Chris Apfelstadt kicked my butt last year in at the AOLP contest with a cell phone pic. So your lighting does matter. It's not just about how good you are with a camera, but my pictures look good because my lighting looks good. So it kind of correlates. Like I don't just sit in Photoshop and paint trees that are pretty and make it all work, and my lighting sucked in real life. And a big thing with that is doing video. We're gonna actually start doing a lot of video this year, and you can't Photoshop video. So it's got to be really perfect for those video shoots and moving around and doing all this. But it's going to be a really cool year for video this year for us.
So yeah, I think people don't realize that is they think you're out there taking photos and then spending hours on the Photoshop, or it's just the opposite. You're spending time going, wait a minute, let's tweak this light, let's add a shroud here, let's angle it this way so that from this viewing angle, this is the composition that we want, and it's going to look good on the lens, right?
Yeah, and the team knows to do that. So when I go there to photograph, I'm not adjusting all the lights for 3 hours. Most of that's done for me because they've done it during the day because they know how to install a light. So part of that comes with training and trial and effect, and like you said, taking your guys on or girls onto projects at night and not once every decade. I think every 3 months you take the whole team out to a project or an amazing one that you finish and look at it, and it's not only good for them to learn, but it's rewarding for them. So
I love it.
Yeah,
it wasn't literally until the last few years that I had my business that we would only do it once a year, and I'm like, man, why didn't I do it more? Because we would take them, and the customers they would like interact with the team, and it was so cool. Like it rejuvenated them. They're like, man, what you guys did such amazing work. And like, I don't know, it was just a powerful experience because they got to see that we weren't just installing lights. We weren't just trenching wire stuff.
And I would say, and mock-ups I'm not going to bash mock-ups, but I'd much rather spend my nights walking finished projects than mocking up lights. So once you build your portfolio up, you don't need to mock up stuff. You say, this is what your trees will look like, and you show them a picture of it. So you're not learning how to photograph, doing the photography, getting your pictures right is actually saving you years of your life and going out and mocking up projects. But that end product is much better to me than putting out lights temporarily, picking them all up, taking them away. We haven't done mock-ups in years. Well, I'll take it back. We've probably done like 2 or 3 just when there were like funky situations, which I actually agreed with, or we didn't actually even know what it was going to look like. But yeah, doing mock-ups all the time will eat you alive. But in the beginning, I will say mock-ups are important to do. And one more key thing with the photography, if you're doing mock-ups, you should be photographing your mock-ups because that is your own work. So even if you don't close a deal, you get a picture out of it.
Love it. No, and it's same thing like social media. Like, hey, we're out here doing this. People see you active. Like, at least even if you don't get the check, make sure you get a deal out of it. Someone will call you.
And one last thing is I see people asking to use other people's pictures all the time, like new in the industry. Just go buy your own lights, do your own lighting because you're representing yourself. You don't want to show like a beautiful finished picture of lighting and you have no idea how to install it or what fixtures they used or anything. It's basically false advertising. So go buy some fixtures and learn your photography at the same. Take it with your cell phone at first. That's better than nothing. And then close some deals and work your way up.
Yep. Oh, because honestly, like the untrained eye, especially if you're just getting started and you're just doing regular neighborhoods, your cell phone pics are actually going to be sufficient to close those deals. They're not going to be sufficient to go compete against Greg Matthews on a 450 light project, right? But to go do a 10, 20, 30 light job, I mean, that's where it's almost like, don't overthink it. If you do have the ability to take the photos, whatever, but if you don't have the money, don't make an excuse and say, well, I can't be successful because I can't afford a camera. Like you can go sell jobs without it right now today, right?
Yep. It's easier nowadays than it ever has been. So there's no excuse anymore.
All right. Last thing I want to ask you about, and then I'll let you go, is downlighting. How important is downlighting on your projects?
So some of our projects, I'd say, are 35 to 40% downlights, which I don't know many other. I know there's some other companies that do that many, but downlighting is magic. I mean, if you don't downlight, our biggest competitor around here has never installed a downlight in their life, which I always point out to every one of their clients if we ever compete with them. But that's the lazy man. They won't install downlights. but it's the most efficient, softest, beautiful way to illuminate an area. It keeps lights off the ground, so you can eliminate a lot of your path lights. Creates more useful space on the ground. It foots trees so they don't look like they're floating in outer space. And again, it's actually budget friendly and economical, meaning that you can use one downlight instead of 5 uplights on small little bushes to light an area. It also just makes the area blend better. So yeah, we've done multiple tree lights. We designed one with Clarilux, the Luna, and I don't know if it's a perfect tree light, but it's pretty damn close. And what it isn't perfect on, let me know and we'll fix it. But we have a new bracket coming out, so it's going to be multi-functioning, multi-attachment. We worked on the shrouds, the color of the inside of the shrouds for like 2 months. We're working on different hex louvers because you can put an internal and a external hex louver on them. So we're actually seeing if the hex is the right design for blocking the glare most efficiently. So I have a 3D printer here we're working with. Some pretty cool stuff. The angle that the wire comes out of that fixture is the cleanest way. So it goes right next to the knuckle, right into the tree. So it makes everything look super clean, super efficient, easy to aim, and blends in very well and puts out a great light. So I would check that one out with Clarilux. And it's made in America, which is pretty crazy.
America.
How
high do you usually go for your downlights?
Serviceable height. So I know a lot of great lighting people go 872 feet in the tree, and they can never make it back there to actually service the light, and they can talk about it forever. But a lot of these clients' yards are also very pretty, so you can't always get a lift back to the areas that you got to lift to, you know, the original install. So it really varies. I mean, even 20, 25 feet, you can get a dramatic light from that. You also want to get too high where you're getting a lot of hot spots on branches. So we put them as high as 40 feet, and we put them as low as 15, 20 feet. We wouldn't put them as low as 6 feet on the backside of like a short palm tree using like an MR11 fixture or something like that to light vegetation around it. So if you can get to it with a ladder is what I'd recommend, because those tree lights you're going to need to go back to and service. If a hardwood tree grows, it thickens. So you need to go back there either annually or every 2 years or 3 years, depending on the tree, and actually back the screw out to keep it healthy on the tree and so that the tree doesn't eat it. So we fly to different states and actually back out screws and do the other maintenance in a lot of our projects.
Nice. Well, it just got me thinking. You said, "Oh, we did that. We'll do one 6 feet off the ground, whatever." And I had this. I just remembered like your backyard, and it's not a giant backyard, but it's got a shit ton of lights, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like that though. Like the longer you sit back there and experience it, you discover more and more and more. And that's what I think is awesome about your lighting designs. And I'm thinking, okay, this 450 light job, again, most people probably wouldn't sell more than 150 lights on it. That would be their regular. And you're finding all these little light sources and different ways to do things. And then there's people that will make excuses and say, well, yeah, that's because he's in West Palm Beach, or that's because of this. But it doesn't matter. Like you said earlier, wealthy people, they don't value lighting, and like they don't know the value of lighting. They don't know that they need 450 lights. If you ask them, they probably think they need 20 lights. And here you are, recommending and installing 450. So it's just a huge takeaway. I think people need to think bigger, think differently, and start doing more lighting on their projects.
Yeah, we did 2 projects last year that were over 750 fixtures each. And then my little third of an acre has, I think we had to account probably 160 fixtures on it. And they weren't even dialed in that night because we had just finished putting them in. So it's going to look a lot better and I'll photograph it, but they all have a reason. You also don't put more fixtures than what you need. Like every fixture has a purpose. So
that's true. But even yours, I was like, I kept finding more and more and more. I was like, what the heck? I don't know if that's possible for you to put more than you need, because you'll just find it. You'll just find another need.
Well, I also had 6 zones of audio in the backyard. So,
that was impressive. I have 1 zone in of audio, and then I'm like, crap, I need at least 2. And he's like, 2, you need 6. It's impressive. I mean, when you do things the right way, it's a completely different experience. And most people just don't know what that means. Like they've got to get out and experience themselves, because we always tend to make decisions on what we would do or how we were raised or how much money we would spend. And like these clients, they want an experience. They don't want lights, they want an experience.
Yeah, skip McDonald's and go get a Michelin star restaurant one night, and then you'll see the difference and, the variation.
I don't even need that. I just need to go back to Delray Beach and get that lobster macaroni thing that I had.
No, you need to go back to Voodoo Bayou again.
I was trying to not think about that. Okay. All right, man. Listen, that was awesome. I appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate all the stuff you shared with us, and yeah, appreciate our friendship and relationship, man.
You as well.
All right, guys, have an awesome week. I'm going to Tampa. I'm going to get on a flight right now. It's gonna be an awesome week, and tell Stephanie we'll see you in a couple days.
Awesome. Thank you.
See you guys.